Welcome back to a brand new video. We're down at what I'm going to call golf heaven right here, down at Titleist at Woburn. This is like the performance centre, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is our main facility that operates out of Europe, so we'll house tour players, consumer fits with myself will be done up here, so it gives like people the opportunity to like fit off turf, looking at a golf hole, testing on greens, that sort of stuff. But yeah, primarily for leadership and an R&D perspective, we have all of our tour players come down here and see our team. So
John today is going to fit me for the brand new driver, and this is actually going to be filmed quite a while before we can actually put the video out. New driver, there's 3 heads, isn't there? We're going to talk through the differences, what ball flight characteristics we should see, but off camera you just told me that it's not been like straight swaps between if you were, let's say, the TSI 3 and then gone into the 3 in this year's model, the GT, it's all a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're seeing a little bit of differences between players, so it is very player dependent as well. There has been a lot of players that do a straight swap for visuals because it looks better, but from a performance factor, yeah, we're seeing a lot of change from 2 to 3 and 3 to 2. Also in loft changes as well.
Interesting. Right, let's get started. Let's just get straight into this.
Perfect. Okay, so we had a little chat beforehand because obviously your driver's not on you at the minute of what you're playing, how you're set up. So the way we like to start our fittings is we'll test each head in the same loft that you currently play with the same shaft you currently play. Reason being is we want to focus on what that driver head's doing and the performance of that driver head before we start fine-tuning and tweaking. If you start changing everything, you're never going to be sure what's changed and why it's changed, and it helps clarify. So we'll go through the models 2 to 4.
Yeah.
You said yours is 10.5.
Yeah.
So we'll start with GT210.
Yeah.
We'll hit a load of shots, we'll get your thoughts, we'll get some data, we'll move 2, 3 into 4, we'll look at the data, we'll pick the best one for visuals and performance, and then we'll start fine tuning from there.
Can I have a look at that?
Yeah, of course you can.
You can have a look at this here. Really cool looking driver. I like the minimal look. Like they all look very similar in the sense of the underneath and very minimal, very Titleist.
Very Titleist. So it was very important that, you know, especially like feedback from the tour players was, you know, don't break the look.
Yeah.
We like the look, we love the way it is, and as you will have seen from the video, it's quite important that, you know, we make sure we maintain what it is that our players
it's
love.
Definitely got an image, hasn't it? And you don't 100%. Want to lose that.
Correct, yeah.
Now, just going back to that turf, I have warmed up on there earlier. I've not hit off tight turf like this for a very long time, and it was nice, you know. Like, especially like the winter we've had, it's been so bad.
Yeah, it's not been the best winter.
So like to get off nice turf just like this, absolutely pure. Okay, so we're starting with, this is the same shaft, 10-degree head. And
you play, we're going to go with Pro VXs for the fit.
Okay.
You tee it up however you like. You tee it up lower, normal. I want everything to be in the same sort of environment that you would normally be.
Interesting that. It feels like it's like a little bit, like, in my eyes, like a little bit elongated on this inside area, which is nice.
So if you remember much from TSR range, so 2 and 3, the shaping was very similar in that sense, that 2 was a bit bigger in structure, look-wise, than 3.
Do you know something? This is the first time I've ever hit a Titleist driver.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. It'd be good to get your feedback.
Yeah, I've never hit it. Like, so that's what I was asking about sound before. Like, I don't know what to expect. Okay. Just straight down towards that bunker.
Just straight down towards the white flag in the distance. So, if you look at it, right, it was important that when we're doing fits like this, that you've got something to aim at, and it feels like a golf hole. Especially from a tour perspective as well. If you're just hitting into an open field, you've got no real like indication of how that's performing on course, so we're trying to map that as much as possible for you. So you can see the white flag in the distance would be your golf hole from tee, and then you've got bunkers right, bunkers left. We've got a few other flags that you can aim at for like longer irons, but if we had a tour player in and he wanted to see what his 5-iron was like, we'd get the yardage on the angle and we'd be hitting into the green depending on what kind of, okay, what's it like to a tight pin, what's it like to a cork pin, so we can really recreate it. So we're getting, like, again, optimal performance and service for the player that's coming in. It's not theoretical, really cool. We put it to the test.
So this is essentially my fairway down here?
That's your fairway between the bunkers,
Anyway, I like the look, you can see those white lines on the either side. Like, it's a lot duller than I was expecting actually in sound. Okay.
Good flight.
A little bit heely that, if I'm honest. But didn't sort of like spin like it was really heely.
So what's your what are your numbers? Because obviously we would normally do.
Yeah, I mean, roughly, if for me, ball speed, anything from like 158 to sort of 162 is like when I'm warmed up and going, I'm happy around there.
Okay, so this is your first.
First hit, yeah.
Have you seen the number?
I say 166.
Out the heel.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, that was out the heel. Wow.
Okay. So reacted like we would expect it to. It's a bit spinny.
Yeah.
But there's more to
That's
it,
interesting. So. Honestly, like if I gun one out on the course, like when I've been doing testing with my current driver, if I get over like 160 ball speed, I'm like, yeah, I got that good. Interesting.
Good.
That was more at the middle. Oh, that was really good, in fact.
One more.
Feels very solid. Like when I'm looking at it, my first impression is that it would be like a bit more of like a duller feeling, but it feels like lively.
Okay.
Oh, a little toey.
And in terms of a strike pattern for you, what would you say you tend to hit more of? Toe, heel?
Both.
Okay, a bit spread, yeah?
No, I'd say more toe is my bad shot, really.
Toe is the bad one?
Yeah, toe is more my bad shot.
Would you expect to see sort of 168 ball speed
out
of the toe?
Maybe I didn't toe it then.
Yeah, so we'll check something. Yeah. I won't give away too much at the beginning.
Is that where I hit it out of?
Yeah, so that's where it's come out of.
Maybe I heel it then.
And then what I'll tend to do is I always do like I use a little bit of a chalk pen.
Yeah.
And I put a mark on the ball and let you hit, and then it gives you a better reference as to what, because obviously coming from a driver that's not a Titleist driver into it and you've never hit one before, your feel reference might be slightly different. So it'd be good to build up like a bit of a better reference as to where you're striking it, as well as visuals, because it's going to be slightly different.
So what's this all about here? So this underneath bit.
So if you remember in TSR, we had the weight track at the back, and what that can do is a couple of things that it will do. We can put more mass behind strike, so if you tend to toe strike it, you can put a bit more mass behind it, so it reduces the amount of drop off in terms of ball speed. Now the models themselves have a little bit different tech versus last year's, which actually does that as well, but without giving too much away to you right now, and we'll get more into it.
Might skew me what I think.
Yeah, exactly. There's a reason this is shifted from the back to the front, but again, similar thing, if we want to create as much mass behind ball to affect the drop off you would normally get from missing centre, you can do that. There's various other things like CG placement for a player, what they feel like, where they feel the middle is. We've found that sometimes moving that around can move where their impact location is. It can affect launch conditions because obviously the weight's further forward, so you can up and down the weight to do that. It's not really, I don't really use it as like a closure rate personally, but what it can also do in some instances is if you moved, like if you had toe strike 1 or 2 and you move the weight there, it can negate gear effect a little bit. So where you get like a bit, it can straighten the ball flight out a little bit, just soften it. We're not looking to get rid of it, because sometimes that's
need that to help you.
But if yours is like drastic, we can put a bit more mass behind it, and then it just prevents as much.
And look at those numbers there, like 270 carry, 24 spin, 168 ball speed.
You can see we're not optimal yet.
No, I know.
Right? So there's more in the tank there.
So
again, we're doing all the same setup. We're just going to go into GT3, same loft. I don't want to change too much straight away, but good start.
Well, that sounded very different.
Flight was a bit different there as well.
Yeah, it was a lot higher launch, that felt. Go have a look at the shape of that there. Like it just feels a little deeper here. And this is my eye. This could be absolute rubbish when we hear about the actual differences, but it feels a bit more rounded here compared to the first one we tried. Am I close? Am I right?
I'll let you know later.
Keep people watching.
Absolutely. Can't give away all my secrets straight off the bat.
Okay. Definitely sounded different, this one.
Definitely sounded different.
Oh, that was it. Really good.
Good ball there.
A 284 carry.
Yep. And just in case anybody wants to know on your channel, obviously because we're outdoors, we are exposed to the elements, so you can feel there is a little bit of a down breeze, but we normalise on TrackMan to negate that, because we don't want to have that as a big influential. So even though it is important to test, so again for a tour player fit, they can test if they want to know what it's like into wind. We'll go to the back of the range, hit back, as long as we've got enough room. Obviously want to pet.
Depends who's here.
Depends who's here, you know. But yeah, we'll test the wind conditions, but we normalise during the fit, so you get a better idea of what the ball's really doing, rather than it just. So that's 284 without the wind assist.
So I'm trying to concentrate on what you're saying, John, but I can't. That's mad.
Okay, one more.
And this is basically this exactly the same shaft, just obviously
I
this
haven't changed anything. So we haven't done any of the weighting system, the shore fit on the neck. We haven't changed shaft to see if the timing belt needs to be a little bit different.
It's a little toey.
But it's holding in the air a bit more, right?
Yeah, it wasn't violent.
It wasn't violent,
no.
Didn't drop off. Still got 264 out of it. And interestingly, the ball speed, 164.4 out the toe. And we'll get on to the reasons why in a bit.
That's mad. So just to like remind you of my numbers, you've seen on this channel before, if I get around a 160 ball speed when I'm at Mottram, hitting balls, I am buzzing with it. I'm over the moon with it. We've not had below 162, I'm going to say?
No, I don't think I've seen below that number.
Interesting.
Right, so we're going to go into 4.
Yeah.
I'm going to expect to see a few things out of this one.
This looks like a bit of a different skirt on the bottom here. Slightly.
Yeah, so...
Like this bit here looks a little bit different in this model than the other two.
Correct. So, full disclaimer, there isn't like, structurally, there isn't as big of a change in 4 from TSR 4 in the way that the shape of it's designed, because it's a very niche product. So when it was in TSR 4, it was a spin killer. Yeah. Low launch, low spin, that's what we wanted out of it. And that's kind of what we've tried to keep in the same way. We've kept the look profile and the structures and everything the same, but we're kind of trying to keep it as close to TSR's 4 as possible in terms of what we want it to do. We still want it to be a low spinner, low launch.
It looks again, it looks quite deep in the face here.
So it's a smaller head.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
it does. Wow, it does look a lot small. Oh my god, come and look at this down here. This is unreal. That's unreal, the difference. It's like noticeably different.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm interested to see how this performs. I think I need a little swig of branded water here before we carry on.
Yeah, I think
I also did get on a bit high toe.
Yeah, which is fine, because when obviously you go, if we notice that's your pattern, and when you're saying you're spraying it a little bit, like you can go toe, you can go heel. I'm not really seeing heel too much. So if we've got toe in there, then we can...
I was joking, it is more toe than heel.
More toe than heel.
Just like to play it down a bit. This looks crazy different.
Nice.
That felt really good. Like, how do these numbers compare for you? Like, in terms of, like, just give people an idea of what you see when you're fitting, not compare myself to a tour player, but when you're seeing tour players, what sort of numbers are they getting with this driver compared to previous models?
I tell you that, it reveals a little bit of the secret further on, so I'll tell you what we're seeing once we
There's a lot of secrets in this video, Johnny.
Of course there is. Not secrets, more so for the point of, if I tell you too much now, it might impact what you're looking for, and then it might impact the way that the fitting then goes from there.
That's it, really good as well.
I take a picture of that for dispersion, by the way.
Yeah, pretty good on there. Throw a blanket over them. That's good, isn't it, that?
So 166.5 on that one, full speed.
Like, bizarrely, like when I first put this down, I thought, oh, I'm not going to be, I don't know, how can I say, like you get a preempt, you see a smaller head, straight away you think, oh, it's not being as forgiving, I'm not going to hit this one the best, but this has felt...
It's felt good.
It felt really good. Throw that blanket over that one as well.
I mean, we might just have to end the video there. I don't think you're going to hit 3 like that again. I mean, that's pretty outrageous. My job's pretty much done now, I'm just joking. That's
I'm secretly really buzzing with that, by the way. I'm trying to act cool that I expected to get that.
To be honest, looking at that dispersion, that's like somebody's iron.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
like
not normal, just to throw that.
That's not normal. I don't normally see dispersion that tight with a driver.
So and hopefully it's everybody now. Alex Elliott really drives the golf ball well.
But like, if we go through the models, like it's going to be very hard for me not to look at this one now.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like, I think we could fine tune it a little bit more and maybe see if we hit more. Whether if you do miss it, it has a lot of damage in there. But off those 3 shots, it's going to be quite hard for us not to look at that head and see if we can fine tune it any more.
So that's saying I could fine tune it up and get nearly just under 170 ball speed.
Correct. Yeah. So depending on strike location and what's happening there, you know. Yeah, we might be looking at entertaining that a little bit, but it's the fastest one you've hit ball speed wise, and it's very consistent in that. Your launch conditions are good, your spin rates are good. Like a lot of that is screaming pretty good. And I mean, if you put that on the dispersion chart and showed all, like,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot tighter.
It's a lot tighter, and we didn't really see it going left at all.
No.
Which is cool, right? But then when you look through the numbers, it kind of does what I was like, where we're spinning a little bit higher. Yeah. You're sitting at 2.9 there, which is right within the window that we want it to be. Yeah. For your optimal.
So just go, but this is the lowest spinning version, isn't it?
So that's the mid launch low spin head.
And if you look at those numbers there, average 3104, average 3182, and then average 2905.
Yeah, but the key one there that people need to associate as well. It's not just this number; it's the variance. So that's going up and down by 100. That's nothing to talk about whatsoever. Where you're fluctuating in 2 by 600, that's climbing, dropping. Like there's so many inconsistencies there. And then when you're here, you're at 3.1, again it's 3, so you've halved the 3, and the 3's got some more in it, but that's already at it.
It was that branded water that just did the trick.
Yeah, absolutely. Buzzed you. We put something in the water. Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna look at it, I'm gonna look at, can we do anything to that to make it better?
Okay.
And do we see a bad shot from it? So if you do hit a bad one with it, how big is the drop off? And if the drop off's massive, then we'd probably look at going 3 and trying to fine tune it a little bit more. But you've hit 3 off the rip, pretty flush.
Yeah.
Haven't seen a problem with it.
I like the flight as well. It's like, it's high, but not climbing ever. I don't feel like I'd ever get it climbing with that either. Like obviously if you hit one off the bottom, then it would be a different story. You would maybe get more spin, but
like as you can see in here, your launch angles for max carry, it's max carry in total. You're right at the top, or you're at the higher end of it. So it'd be interesting if we just flip out the loft a little bit.
So what we're going down a loft?
Down a loft a little bit.
So this is now 9.
Leave it in the normal settings to see if that affects ball speed at all, and see if we see a miss. Okay.
So what you're anticipating is going to happen here? Oh, you're not going to tell me because it's going to preempt everything?
Exactly. He's learning.
Felt a lot flatter, that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
I hit out the middle as well.
Yeah, ball speed went up to 168.
I might just try and see it a little bit higher. I just feel like I need to, because I usually see it quite low.
Because you normally float it quite high?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like I have to sort of, not, just with any time I hit driver and it gets lower and lower through a round, just to get like
whereas
choppy.
now it's good to see you like actually going a bit more the other way.
I feel like this, because it's a deep face, it sort of feels a bit more comfortable to do that, I guess.
Good.
That was off the toe. But it's not violent, is it?
No, not at all.
Like, that's only 10 yards left of where I hit the one out the middle.
Correct. And to be honest, if you look now on those 2, and we're probably not going to hit another one because I don't like it, because all of a sudden we've gone super left.
Yeah.
Right? Your spin's dropped as well.
Yeah.
So that's normally what we would tend to see with the 4.
Yeah.
It'd be on the lower side of spin rates. And when you've towed those 2, that's where your drop off is. So the question is, if we go back into the 10 and hit a few more, if you still get that towy one and it still drops off, we're going to switch to 3 and fine tune 3 so that it gets
so it's a little bit more of a mid-spin model in comparison to this.
Just a bit more forgiveness, like yeah, in terms of like your off centre strike and how much damage it does.
And what CC head is that?
430.
And in comparison to the 3?
460.
Because it's mad. It looks a lot. It looks like a, I don't know. It just looks petite.
But it's whether for some players that look would fine tune your concentration.
Yeah, well, I definitely felt that on the first few shots.
But it's whether you actually.
Is that playable?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, that was towed.
But you see, okay, there you go. So we're going to have a look at 3 now. So now we've got a few more shots in there. Yeah. You're starting to see the drop off in your spin rate, which is, you can see the launch is good, but everything's dropping off. Ball speed's down, smash factor's down.
Yeah.
So it's just becoming, we're now starting to see.
Normal me.
Well, not normal you, but like what could be a dangerous driver to put in play.
Yeah, so it might go.
It's great when you flush it out the middle, but the reality is you're going to play a lot of golf. You're going to play over a load of rounds.
I think that's what people need to remember when they're getting fitted, don't they? I think a lot of like consumers just go there, try and get the Goldilocks sort of fitted for the longest hit and the longest shot, whereas you want something that's going to, even if it's not your longest, it's the most playable. Hopefully it is the longest as well. That's what you're going to say.
Well, hopefully. That's my goal, right?
Very true.
But so when we look at, I think the biggest difference now is, you've seen in the industry, a lot of people have chased like MOI, all of that sort of stuff. We look at full package, so total driver performance. So we don't want to create more forgiveness and lose speed. Like nobody wants that. So it's how we find that balance in between, and all of the stuff they've done has been for that reason. It needs to be faster than TSR. Yeah. It needs to be forgiving. It needs to be like the whole package. Yeah. We can't just bring out a driver that just does really forgiving and you give up loads of distance. Nobody wants that.
No one else, do they?
Yeah. Right. So we're going to go GT3.
GT3.
But because of the way it was launching and spinning when we first tested it in a 10, we've gone down to a 9. Okay.
That felt good. Definitely flattest from the first ones that I hit. It's mad, the sound is not what I thought it was going to be. It's a lot duller.
Yeah.
Like,
in terms of the looks, do you prefer the smaller, more compact looking shape, or would you want something that's got a little bit more?
If I didn't like the first shape that we tried.
You didn't like the first shape?
It just felt like a bit like...
Too elongated?
Yeah, at the back.
Perfect, yeah.
Whereas, I mean, I love the look of the last one, the GT at 4. But yeah, but obviously it's not the most playable thing. This feels like a bit of, obviously this is the hybrid between them both, isn't it? A little bit. Is that
a little
right?
bit,
Am I right
yeah.
in saying
So
that?
compact size, it'll be like the shape is obviously
it's
a bit more
rounded,
compact, more rounded, less elongated, and then obviously when you go to the 4, it's small.
Oh, well, it was good. That I just think I just pushed it a little. Might be an aim in there, to be fair.
See, it spins a little on the low side.
Can we see another one?
Yeah, please.
Just towed that again.
Okay, so let's tweak before we start changing lofts or anything like that, because tow's obviously going to take a little bit of that spin rate down. We can have a look at seeing if we move the weight a bit more towards the strike location of toe.
Left side of the golf course is quite popular.
It is popular. So if you would want one thing out of the driver compared to what you're currently gaming at the minute, what would you want?
Not see it go left.
Not see it go left. Perfect.
And obviously, if we can get a few extra yards, I'm not going to say no.
Okay.
Which we have seen. Well, that was unreal. Wow. It might be placebo that, but it felt different when I was swinging it.
Sign him up.
That felt really good. Weird. I don't know if that's placebo because I've seen you change where that weight is, but it felt different like when I was actually swinging it.
Well, no. You see, I think if you're moving mass in a driver head, you are going to feel like it is going to feel different.
Look at that.
Yeah. So let's test if that's actually where that was.
It felt solid.
So I always like to double check. This isn't to say that any of that is wrong. I just like to visually see it myself to reaffirm that.
So we just put a bit of white Sharpie right on the middle here.
Yeah, just a bit of chalk pen so we can wipe it off afterwards, and that gives us an impact location.
Let's deal with my OCD here. I've not got my line on top. Oh, that was it really good again.
And didn't go left.
No.
A fraction toey, but that's why we've moved the weight slightly towards the toe. So yes, it can take the little bit of the gear effect out, but if you don't want to see the left-hand side of the course, that might benefit you a little
100%.
bit.
It's my worst nightmare that, like, I've constantly...
You're
my God.
0.8 off of 170.
I'm not even... that's the same clubhead speed as well. I've stayed very consistent around that, haven't I? Let me look at the average there.
What's your normal clubhead speed?
I'd say anything over 110, like, I'm happy with.
But on average, you'd be, what, 110-ish?
110-ish, I'd say, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So that's not normally a number that you would see swinging this smooth?
I have seen that, but...
Don't consistently?
Not consistently, no.
Okay.
But my deviance from that is 0.3.
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
Because the deviance on it is not really fluctuating.
No, not
and
at all.
this will go as part and parcel of the rest of the story in a minute.
Dying to know what the rest of the story is here, John. That was really good. I do feel like I can't hit that left. Look at them.
Oh, 0.5 off. If you're a mathematician, they'd round that up.
Yeah, we're rounding up. We do round up in there. I do feel like I can't hit that left.
And what was the key?
Not to hit left.
Part of it. Do you feel more comfortable with that setup?
Don't know. I sort of catch away too. I feel like I can hit it harder.
So you feel more comfortable with it in the sense that you could go after it a bit more if you wanted to, and it'll still perform.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
That's got one of the longest yet, hasn't it?
Good numbers.
Wowzers.
So 285 carry, 287 as a goal, 306, spins good. Ball speed's at 169.5 again.
That's really good. I'm shocked at that ball speed.
And what I like is, what it'll show on the map here, like when we're pulling this dispersion up, is once you've got a better feel, because obviously once you change someone's timing belt, it takes a few shots for you to get used to it. I leave them in there because the miss that you had to the right wasn't that big of a miss.
No, it wasn't actually, but I felt like it was miles right.
Yeah, to start with, and then once you get tuned and you start to see what the flight's doing, and it's hard to capture on a camera sometimes. Normally when you get like a toe or a heel strike, you get a lot of curvature going on. Your ball flight's holding.
Yeah.
So like, therefore, can you trust it more?
I do feel like those last two drives that I hit, I aimed at that left bunker and just hit it, and it didn't go any further left. Whereas, like before, I mean, obviously, this is getting used to this driver, but I felt like I was guarding against it going left.
And now you're kind of just switching off and playing golf, right?
That was just a pull. Talk myself into that, didn't I?
Has to happen.
Here's me.
I think everyone's done it. Everyone's done it.
Yeah, I can't hit it left. I can aim down the left. Pull. Cheers. Thanks for coming.
From a ball speed perspective, that was 169 though.
It was good. It was just a.
It was just a pull. Yeah. Great drive.
Well, that's got to be one of the longest, I'd say.
285, 284 carry, 308. Spin still at 23. So for me, what I like to see when you're in the drivers and you've got somebody that has the occasional toe strike and it might dip, is if you don't drop below 2.3 when you're catching it out the toe, that's control in sense that you're not going to get it.
And that was just slightly toe, wasn't it? So it's...
So for you, like, and you're also not getting this massive shape where you have hit it out the toe and you're looking up expecting it to go this way.
I did. Part of me did feel I was should be looking for the left here, didn't I? But
thoughts?
Nothing to say really, is there? I don't know what to say. I'm shocked at the ball speed, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Okay, so without going into too much detail, you're going to see a presentation, but for the camera, the reason this is, people are going to look here, like you did, because you saw ball speed gains, but it's here.
Okay.
Right. So the heads have been changed in the sense that we've combated and looked at aerodynamics. So how we can get the club to move faster through the air. So if we can get it moving faster through the air and more efficient, it therefore gets to the ball quicker, and then you get ball speed gains from there. But it's not necessarily because that's the main thing, but everything that we've changed in the driver all marries into a story. And
in terms of that material,
okay, I knew that question was coming. Okay.
What material is it made of? Because I saw the presentation before about it being a new material that you've made. What is it?
So the crown has been changed, so it's not a full titanium driver anymore. So this is a composite driver where you've got what we call our proprietary matrix polymer that sits on top. You can't really tell it because it doesn't have any seams to it, right? So that was a big thing. It
looks
has
all
to
one
look
piece.
like a Titleist. Yeah. We didn't want it to have lines. Tour players didn't want it to have the lines and the looks. We wanted to keep it as simple as possible. The key thing is, and you'll see this when you do the presentation, is the material itself. Like when you drop it, sounds more metallic. So from an acoustic perspective, it keeps that sound that you're talking about, where it sounds like it's good. But by saving the weight here and wrapping it, we keep all of the weight lower down, so that when you go for the CG shape where you create like a boat shape to it, if you just did that and kept it all titanium, you drive the center of gravity up and back, which creates lower ball flights, higher spin. Not good for distance, right? So by changing the construction the way we have, CG stays low because all the weight goes low. Then because we've done that, we then are able to do what we call split mass technology, where we shift weight both forward and back. So it creates not only like better launch conditions from a center of gravity perspective and spin, it also creates stability because you've got weight back and weight forward. So it's like total package. And then the face structure's changed. So where TSR you would have had in 2 and 4 multi-plateau, 3 you've got shore ring, so it was heightened around the center strike. All of the faces have that combined concept. So we've got speed ring, sorry, not shore ring, speed ring built into the faces, as well as variable face thickness. Great on off-center strikes, heightens on-center strikes.
I mean, we saw that, didn't we? The toe hits, the ball speed didn't really drop. The spin did, but the ball speed stayed pretty constant.
Correct. So all of that going into it is what, and then that's also kind of why we see the jumps around between 2 and 3 and lofts up and down and what they do for a player, because of all of that tech put in.
I'm still shocked at the ball speed. Honestly, John, thanks for that, mate. Really appreciate that. Have a look at these numbers we finished on here. So just, could you just let us know, everybody knows the spec that we've finally finished on here?
Well, I snuck one in there, so I'll tell you that now. So by going a little bit longer and creating almost a slightly different profile and feel for you, so we stabilised and went with a hazardous black and a 6.5, kept the weight down at 60, so it wasn't impacting your speed at all. I put you back into neutral.
Oh, you did, yeah. I didn't realise you did that.
Your location was coming more towards the middle more often, and it didn't really, you didn't get that gear effect issue where it was slightly towards the toe. So 10 degree, neutral setting, 45.5, 6.5 hazardous black, 5th gen in 60 grams.
Awesome.
Good.
Guys, thanks so much for watching. Me getting fitted for the brand new Titleist driver in the GT range. We will be doing a review of this out on the golf course and diving into more of the tech as well. So do keep your eyes on the channel for that video. But just come and have a look at this. We didn't show this at the start, but this is literally golf in heaven. We've got the fitting bays here where all the tour players will come, boardrooms, literal office in the back, and a tour workshop too. Guys, thanks so much for watching and see you soon here on How Good Golf.